Students, myself L. Lakshmi Prasad of Computer Department. This is your second lecture of form designing, HTML form designing. In the first lecture, you had learned how to create the text field and password field. And in this lecture, you have to learn how to create submit button, radio button and checkbox button. Now, this is what is submit button. Submit button, it is a button where if after filling the form we have to click submit. As you all done the Google form examination, you had done give the examination of Google form. In that, and the last submit button is there. After clicking the submit button, your responses goes to the particular creator or file handler. The same purpose is used for submit button. That is only for submit button. Due to submit button, input type equal to submit. Here in the last lecture we have learned input tag. At that, the type is the attribute. Type equal to text is written and password is written for password field, and text is written for text field. But for submit button we written type equal to submit. It defines the button for submitting the form data or to form handler. Okay, typically the file handler form handler the file on the server with script and processing input the data. That means whatever the one attribute is there in front of form, the attribute of form is one action attribute is there. In front of action attribute, one file name is written there. At that file name, the whatever the data is stored in that particular form, entered in that particular form, that goes to the action attribute. Okay, see here how the submit button works. A form with submit button. This is the coding for submit button. In between the form starting tag and closing tag, we have to write all the codes whatever we want to enter the details and where we have to send the detail. This after form one action attribute is there. In action attribute, a action underscore page dot php is there. This is the file name where the data is stored after submit, creating submit button, after clicking the submit button. Here label, already we learned in the last chapter, label at first name, therefore label for first name, after first name label close, br is for breaking the line, name tag is used for type equal to text. Text means it is a text field. Here after first name a text field is required, that's why text field is used for input text. And second, input last name is required. Last name is the label, and for label last name for enter the last name we require text field. That's why one more text field is required to add the last name. And then the last input type equal to submit and value equal to submit. If we have value equal to submit, that value is displayed in the button, in the submit button. Okay, and after clicking the submit button, the first name and last name, the details, everything goes to the action page.php in the database. Okay, where the file handler is stored. This is the use of submit button. Now the second one is radio button. The radio button, the same purpose, the input tag is used for radio button also. Only the difference is in front of type tag, in type attribute, sorry, type is the attribute and input is a tag. In front of type attribute we have to write radio. It defines a radio button. What is the purpose of radio button? The purpose of radio button is to select a single selection. For limited choices we require radio button, or for one selection we require radio button in front of so many selections. That means if we click one button, the second one is deselected. For that we have to write the coding. This is the coding for radio button. Form, in between the form tag, closing and entering closing and starting tag, in between the form tag we have to write the radio button, similar as the input tag. Input type equal to radio. Here the different type equal to radio means it creates a radio button. Name equal to gender, we require a name for a radio button because the name is required. The name attribute is used for radio button. It is the main purpose of radio button. Name equal to gender. In the first radio button, type name equal to gender. In the second radio button is also we have to written type equal name equal to gender, and in the third also we write name equal to gender. This is because it is used for single selection. That's why name should be same. If you write name, different names are written in front of name attribute, at that time The radio button is not for single selection. It requires multiple selection also required. Multiple selection is possible at that time. If you write gender 1, gender 2, gender 3 in front of names. So that for single selection we have to create the in front of name, we have to write the same name for all the radio buttons. Okay, and for here see, for male one radio button is there, for female one radio button is there, and for others one radio button is there. See how the output looks like. This is the output for radio button. This is the coding. Right side, left side is the coding, and right side is the output. See how the radio buttons looks like. If we click male button in front of male, and the female is, and other two are deselected, and if we click female, the male is deselected. This is for single selection. This is possible only the name should be same. Okay, the same coding is for second also. Checkbox. Checkbox is used for multiple selection. The same coding is required for checkbox. Only the difference is type equal to, you have to write checkbox. Checkbox is for multiple selection. We require how many checkboxes we want, we can select each and every one. Okay, and now see, this is the coding for checkbox button. This is the coding for checkbox button. Form, action, this already I explained. Input, type equal to checkbox. Checkbox, ID equal to vehicle, name equal to vehicle 1, value equal to bike. Label, we required vehicle 1, I have a bike. This is the label. Input type checkbox. Here you see name equal to vehicle 1, name equal to vehicle 2 in the second checkbox, name equal to vehicle 2, and in the third checkbox also name equal to vehicle 3. The name should be different for checkbox. If you write name the same, that means it acts as a radio button, acts like a radio button. For that also single selection is possible. So we required for my checkbox is for multiple selection. That's why we had written name, different names are written for different checkboxes. Similar, and everything is same similar like radio button. Only the difference is name should be different in checkboxes. Okay, and this is the check coding for. Now in this chapter we have learned submit button, radio button, and coding for checkbox. And in the next lecture, thank you all guys, and in the next lecture we learned how to create a registration form, the overall registration form, and how to store the form. Everything is displayed in the next lecture. Everything is explained. Okay, thank you all.